I'd like to call the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. It's Tuesday, September 17th, 9:02 a.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Brett Benversi, lead the way. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of minutes, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment. I do not see any public comment in the room. Anything online? Clerk Treasurer claims approval.
We have civil city payroll in the amount of $533,074.86.
Make a motion to approve civil city payroll.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Civil city claims in the amount of $1,142,605.88.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Sewage claims in the amount of $137,752.87.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And water claims in the amount of $275,896.51.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. NDOT Avenue.
We have our invoice for our Indiana Avenue project. The bidding was complete as of August 15th. So this is our payment for the Indiana Avenue project. So I just need approval from Board of Works for the $3,179,624.98, and I will get that to NDOT today.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
I had a quick question on
Sure.
that. With the rebuild that's coming, so was there a specific reason why NDOT felt like, hey, we need to take care of this now versus sort of
Yes.
waiting?
Great discussion.
Yes. Well, so if you remember, this is part of the betterment agreement. So essentially what it is everything kind of above and beyond what NDOT would normally do for a highway project. The way that NDOT operates is they will let a project, and then any communities participating in betterment have 30 days, essentially, when they're going through their contract phase, to pay for all of that. It is a little bit of a challenge for like the city, for example, where this is going to be a 2.5 at least year project, and we're paying for all that up front. We do get reimbursed if they don't use all of that. And then also, if there's change orders, we'd have to come before the board to pay for any additional costs in the future.
But I think this would be a great discussion for the legislature in this upcoming session, is paying out upfront for as much, and we appreciate it. In fact, because of the pricing, Nick was able to have historic lighting throughout Indiana Avenue versus just the small portion to Osborne, so credit to him. And we won't see the wooden, can I call them wooden poles, that have come up in the past, so I'm excited about that. But just from a pure cash flow perspective, it's difficult.
We're essentially asked to have something that would be budgeted over a series of years, all paid upfront at once.
I don't imagine there's any sort of time value of money calculation in that to our benefit, right?
Well, I guess the contractor locks in their prices.
Okay, so that's, okay.
So it's not that they can't have an increase in the price for materials or anything like that in year 2, even if they're experiencing that price increase.
Okay, all right, so that's, I mean, potentially that could be a significant advantage
Yeah.
if it pans out, okay.
So with that, I do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And NDOT will be excited. They're receiving their check today.
Lock it in.
We're going to do the mayoral budget, but we'll go through department head reports briefly. Tim Werner, Water.
Good morning to the board. I just wanted to give a quick update on the Park Street project. We're about halfway through the actual section from Coomer up to Severs. That's the first phase of the Park Street project. We're running an 8-inch water main up that way. Reith Riley came out and did some milling for us as a change order. It's saving us a lot of time. There was a lot more concrete in the road than what we were expecting, about a foot difference, foot of concrete. So we had some trouble getting through it, but the guys have made short work of it. Today and yesterday, they're just catching up on some leaks. You know, we got our whole construction crew out there working, so we had some leaks that came up late last week and over the weekend, so the guys took a little break, split the crew up, and they're addressing those leaks. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that we still are addressing our normal work besides doing this project. Last week I met with Mark with the Park Department and Howard and Nick from Peerless. We staked out 2 new well sites, 2 potential well sites in the park to continue to grow that well field. We'll be getting park approval the 18th, I think, is the park board meeting, and then we'll throw in 2 more test wells and see what we can get out there.
So is that, you're looking, so 2 additional potential sites in Soldiers?
Yes,
Oh,
they'll be
okay.
across the street on the Lions field side of the road that goes through there. The other 2 are on the north side, I guess you would say. So that way we can utilize that pipeline that we're putting in. We did have to upsize the pipeline going in because of the amount of water we are getting out of those wells, which is a good thing. So we're upsizing everything out there, just build for the future. I can see that being our main well field, 50, 60 years from now. So we're building it for the future.
Wastewater.
Just report on McClung Road. They've had all the main sewer in for a while. Now we're getting, they're coming back and connecting in all the customers. I think we're at 10 customers now who want to connect in, and 2 of those are in the county, so we're gonna have to go through the procedure for annexation and all that. So, getting good interest in the project.
Engineering.
No report today, thank you.
Clerk treasurer. Legal.
I've got a couple items on the agenda, that's it.
Code.
Still working on dilapidated housing and
Your mic.
Mike.
I'm sorry.
there we go. Working on dilapidated housing and working on overgrown grass throughout the city.
And those out-of-town landlords that don't give a crap about our residents, and the hammer's falling. We've been knocking on doors. We have a landlord coming in today, just enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a nonprofit program. If you're buying a home, we expect you to take care of it, and people need to live in respectful, clean, safe housing. So,
Yeah, the one that's coming in, they own 11 properties here in LaPorte, and we went through every single one of them, and all 11 have pretty major violations in them.
they should be able to go live in one of them for about a week and see what it's like, so.
Does that mean they'll have a time frame to complete the tasks that are needed to fix those
Yeah, but
issues?
yeah.
Or they're gonna get fined, or both?
Usually, because it's by the time we get to this point, they've already got fines, we've already tried to talk to them. So now we're just doing it face-to-face, so we can hopefully get them in the same room and get them to doing it. And they'll have no more time to take and fix it. But if they don't, then we can look at condemning them. But then the problem with condemning them is they have to get a new place to live and everything else, and there's not really that much out there right now.
I'd prefer to see him leave our community and sell the
Sell 'em.
properties, get him out. If he, we're not where he comes from, and he doesn't care, so that's just one example, so.
Right.
Police,
No report.
and thank you for your work. I know you're working on the graffiti on 18th Street, and all I can say is when that hits the court system, I hope we get these young kids who did the work, and we'll put them to work cleaning some panels for about the next year if they'd like. But we need to hold them accountable because you're not going to graffiti our town. Kelly Burke, Fire.
No report.
Bert Cook.
Good morning, Mayor, no report.
Planning, Craig Phillips. Mike Fraze. Streets.
We're uptown, street sweeping, getting ready for the Sunflower Fest, and patching, cutting down trees for Spotless.
I like that. And also, you got this morning, the pictures of some of the
Yep.
trees are hanging over, so
Yeah, we're gonna get taking care of them to this week.
perfect. Mark Schreiber, Parks.
Good morning. As Mike mentioned, it is Sunflower Fair weekend coming up, so there will be the night on the Ave from 6 to 10 on Michigan Avenue. Naughty will be performing, so going to be a great kickoff, and then Sunflower Fair from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Dozens and dozens of vendors. Going to be a big event. Give Brett Benversi and his staff and his volunteers a lot of credit. It's the 25th happening of the Sunflower Fair, so looking forward to a great weekend. Hopefully we get great weather as we've had. And then also want to draw people's attention to Aquinas Teledyne Park, where we have a new kayak launch that was just installed last week. This is right on Pine Lake, and it was donated by Jim and Kathy Nova through a donation they made to the Park Foundation. So we appreciate Jim and Kathy thinking of our parks. This was a project that they had in their heart, and they came forward and wanted to see it done, and we're happy to see it come to its completion. So lots of great kayaking weather left, and we obviously also have the kayak rentals over on Stone Lake, which have been very active lately with the extended nice weather.
Thank you to Jim and Kathy, great people for our community, and welcome into the city of LaPorte as they were part of the 39 North annexation, and we do appreciate their investment in LaPorte. And thank you, Brett Benversi. Keep up the great work. Roscoe Hoffman, IT.
Oh, sir. As we discussed before, there's a contract that I'm working through with Proven IT, and that's something that we're still in the works right now. Currently, we have the contract budgeted down considerably lower than it was before, but we're still in the negotiations because I'd like it still to be lower to save the city more money. I know the mayor doesn't want me to do that, but it's something that I'm fighting against the mayor to do.
Well, and again, when we're duplicating services now that we have in-house IT, I appreciate them willing to negotiate. It makes sense, but we're moving forward.
Exactly.
We only need a couple of services from them at this point, and thank you for your work.
Yes, sir. There's services we can even, a lot of it is, there's services we can solicit from the state that we can get for free, that we're paying for. So if we can get it for free, I like free, especially if it's gonna give us the same.
Quality and
Exactly. It's gonna be the same
efficiency,
quality. There's not gonna be any difference, so we might as well go ahead and solicit that, like example, the CrowdStrike that we're using. So,
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roscoe.
you're welcome. Awesome. The end.
Andrea Smith, HR.
Good morning, board members. Andrea Smith, HR Director. I just have a gentle reminder to our department heads that last Friday, a letter came out with your pay advice from Mayor Dermody about the change from UMR to Anthem. We have meetings scheduled this Monday at the Civic Auditorium. Specific times were listed. As of today, I only have 12 people signed up.
Hold
This is
on,
a-
let's talk about department heads. This is important to the
So important.
employees. They have to come. I mean, we have to have them there because their insurance will be changing, and we'll have a cluster if they don't come to understand, to ask questions. Please feel free, to do what you need to do to make time so they're there. We want to improve their health. We want to lower their cost while you'll have changes in the health insurance. I think for the long run, the concept that we're gonna have one insurance company for 30 years is no longer there, as we've seen national news on healthcare. This is something that's extremely important.
It is so important. So representatives from Anthem will be there to answer any questions you may have. And spouses, of course, are welcome because a lot of times the spouse dictates the medical portion. So please invite your spouses. And again, call Corrine or myself. We have 3 sessions, and they're not going to be long. They're about an hour apiece. So if you have any questions, give me a call.
And if anybody in the community has concerns of, it will leave us shorthanded for a little bit, but well worth it, and any complaints can come to me, because this is a priority for our employees.
And I'm going to ask Roscoe to video one of the meetings for employees that are not able to make it, or spouses that want to watch it. We will have that on hand for them. So,
That's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
yep.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, this is a transition to new insurance, so there will be some disruption, and we want to ensure that your questions are answered ahead of time and you're prepared for the transition and the possible disruption. So make it a point to sign up for one of those meetings, and please, if you have any questions, send them, I'm sorry, Andrea, send them Andrea's way.
This will affect medical and prescription.
Yes.
So it's really important. If you do not get your prescriptions through North Shore, and there's even some disruption going on there right now, but if you get them through UMR Magellan currently, you're going to have a bit of a disruption when we move to Anthem. So again, please sign up for a meeting. The reps will be there. They will, hold your hand, walk you through it, calm your nerves. But it's very important that everyone attend that can attend. And again, if you cannot, we will have a video up online for employees to watch. Thank you.
I would just add that obviously the devil can really be in the details on these kind of switches. And I think the folks from, was it Brown?
Yeah,
or
Brown and
Brown
Brown.
and Brown, that were here, I think 2 weeks ago, they said the disruption, it's 99% right, there won't be disruption. However, that small sliver where there's a disruption, if you're one of the people impacted by that, it can feel a lot more than, 1%. So
Right, yeah.
really important to get on top of that and be aware of what's happening.
My biggest worry is the prescription portion. We can get through the medical, but if somebody goes to the pharmacy and it says you do not have insurance, that's why it's so important to attend these meetings and make sure we're all on the same page. And Anthem has been a great partner to work with, and so is Brown and Brown. So Courtney and I are confident moving forward, but again, there will be somewhat of a disruption, and we just want employees to know that.
Thank you.
And keep your explanations of benefit from your current insurance, and call North Shore for an appointment for prescriptions now. But that will all be at the meeting on Monday.
Yeah, it'll be there. If you can get a 90-day prescription, now's the time to do it, because that'll get you through, until
The
things
transition.
settle down, right, the transition period. But again, we're just trying to help our employees out, and there's not sticker shock on October 2nd. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last evening, we presented our budget, some of the overall goals and focus on our budget. I'd like to share that with our department heads and the board here. It'll be brief, but I think it's important that everybody understands where we're headed and the goals. So with that, Roscoe?
Can you see from there?
All right, so let's talk about the municipal budget for 2025. Overview. We're going to talk about the budget challenges, budget priorities, which most importantly, the top 3 have been continuing the fiscal responsibility, our 4th structurally balanced general fund budget, and a great job by Courtney Parthune and the whole clerk treasurer team of setting high expectations and responsibility to the taxpayers. Fulfilling commitments, infrastructure improvements. Obviously, you saw today, we just approved a check going to INDOT for a large improvement process that is Indiana Avenue, and making sure that we continue to provide the best infrastructure for our residents. And just as an example, without U.S. Congressman Frank Mervan, and throw the politics aside, without the $1 million that he provided for this project, I think Jerry and Tim would both tell you it had been difficult to get all that infrastructure in. So everybody working together. As well, winning the war on drugs. People have said, look, you can't win the war on drugs. And why we would not set that standard of winning the war on drugs is beyond me. When I see people, young people, just recently again, ODing and passing away and being taken out of a home where they're doing drugs out in Kumler Park. Just an example. Enough is enough. We have people that have been continual drug users, traffickers, and enough on this. We're going to get the appropriate amount of law enforcement to start kicking in doors and to make sure everybody understands the trafficking. While we've done work, we're going to win the war on drugs in the city of LaPorte. A budget summary, 2024 goals status report. Our goals are kind of repeated. You've already heard those, so we won't go through that. And then questions. So our biggest budget challenges, circuit breaker losses. This is something that I, to this day, support, allowing tax homeowners receive a benefit to stay in their home by reducing their property tax bill. Continuing to grow our net assessed value is also going to be a challenge, but I think you'll see later in this presentation, we are moving in the right direction. And then lastly, the new governor, a new legislature, what are their priorities and agenda going to be? Local government is always a hammer point for them to say we're misusing funds, we're overspending, we're doing all these things. So it'll be interesting to see what the new governor and new legislature prioritize, because most of the residents that I talk to aren't necessarily about reducing their property tax bills. More importantly, they want to make sure the services are here for them when they need them, that when they call, if someone's robbing their home, that they can call the police. If they have a fire, the fire department's there that can come. Or, hey, I have an issue with my water, I want clean water, or waste, I want that moving. And I want to have great streets, I want to have great parks. That's what their focus is. So when you talk about the 2025 budget priorities, we're going to continue to create efficiencies and funding alternatives to strengthen our city's future. When you look at the minute increase of funds from last year to this year, the majority, if not all of those, went to our fire and police, the public safety team, based on our agreement with the unions. And so we're flatlining a budget. And we have to think of new ways to do things, and I'll give Mark Schreiber credit at the Park Department. We have worked together with him to look at the Civic and the great work that Brett Benversi's done, Beechwood, Kyle Cashmere, that they've done, and say, okay, now it's time to fund 100% of your budget with the revenues that you generate. And this can be a challenge, but we're all in to make sure that they are successful. And when you look at all the events we're doing at the Civic, when you see that Beechwood Golf Course is the #9 public course in the state of Indiana, things are happening in the right direction, and I'm excited to see how this turns out. But most importantly, living within our means. So we're not doing anything extra than what residents have to do every day. They can't spend more than they have coming in, so we're using those property tax funds, the general fund budget, to provide services without spending more than we have coming in. Number 2, win the war on drugs. Public safety focus with proactive approach. We need to continue with the great work that Caitlin Kalisic is doing as a social worker, working with community resources. We truly need to help those with drug addiction, and we want to do that. We just left Valparaiso a couple weeks ago with Porter Stark and the facility that they have there for people that we'd sure love to see in LaPorte. But more importantly, we have to increase the officer presence to stop trafficking of drugs in our community. You just heard me say we have no new money to pay for police. So we're going to have to be creative to fund. When we look at a new officer is going to be $150,000 in the first year alone per officer. We have to think outside the box, and we will find funding that will increase our presence to make sure we win the war on drugs and give our young kids an opportunity at success and keep them away from drugs. And then lastly, fulfilling commitments, infrastructure improvements. Courtney Parthune, roads, roads, roads. You're going to see in the upcoming slide how she has and her team have saved money. They knew these projects were coming, and to be responsible financially by saving money so that when these road projects come up, we have the funds to do so. And then continuing the momentum on water, wastewater infrastructure projects, State Road 35, Indiana Ave, 39 North annexation. These are all great projects for residents. And we're going to be leading as a community for others to follow that infrastructure is extremely important. And then Spotless LaPorte, as Mike Fraze had mentioned, and I think it's important for our residents to understand the multitask approach that they have to do with a limited crew on a daily basis. And when you look at pothole-free, weeds, signs, plowing, trees, storm cleanup, winter chip seal, to name a few, and I mean name a few, they do an amazing job, and I think you can tell the pride that they have in our community by all the great work that they're doing. And that's a job security program, because there's always something. Something's always growing back, something always is happening. And Mike Fraze and his team, thank you. Because they're the ones out at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, dealing with a lot of these issues. So here's the budget summary, and you'll notice with receipts and disbursements that we are truly in the general fund a structurally balanced budget, not spending more than we have coming in. And you will also notice, because we would never ask a resident to deplete their savings account, and I believe it's very important to keep cash reserves in place so that if something does happen, we have cash to keep the city running and keep providing the great services that we do. And I think Courtney would like to mention a couple things, because you'll see in MVH a negative number, but that's basically the savings that she's been preparing.
I would like to say, it's not Courtney Parthune, it's a team effort. Jerry and Nick, last year and the year before, on the Letters and Numbers project, we were able to put away all of our funds from MVH, restricted, surtax, and wheel tax, and keep them in savings for the future. And sewage paid for the CCMG match for Letters and Numbers. So it is truly a team. Nick and Jerry and Tim all are very strategic about how the MVH program works, how the CCMG program works. They work together so that we get the most bang for our buck. We do have some projects in the pipeline that we were planning for. So 2024 CCMG Community Crossings Matching Grant. There's a lot of lingo that goes around, and I didn't know what it meant when I first got here. So I should say CCMG is Community Crossings. That's the road money. It's a $3 million program this year, so our local match is 1.5. So you'll see the net cash flow is negative. We have budgeted projects from MVH, surtax, and wheel tax to get a lot of those projects done. CCMG, local tracks, and Park Street road project, not housing project, road project. And Nick Minnick can speak more to those than I can. But that we did want to note that.
So we're moving in the right direction, and you hear from other local governments the struggles that they're facing. These department heads, the clerk treasurer's office, the Board of Works, the council have made difficult decisions over 5 years, but you can see it's beginning to pay off. We're moving in the right direction. And when we talk about raises, it'll be interesting to see other local units, if they can even give raises, which has been a concern for them, that we're able to do so. And we trust our department heads. These are leaders, and we expect them to decide what is best for their employees, what type of raises. The only thing we've said is, if you're going to give raises of some amount, you have to cut that out of your budget in some other way, because this is, in all essence, a flatline budget. And I think we came out very good by doing so. So let's review just where we are this year with the goals that we talked about last year for this year. Maintaining the new standard of a structurally balanced budget. And I think we're doing what we said we do, living within our means. Continuing investments to improve our infrastructure. You know, we've done Monroe Manor, we've done other areas, and this board of works knows better than anybody how many backups we've had, how many basements people have come forward to ask for grants to help address the basement flooding that's happened due to rains. We are now addressing that and have been addressing that through infrastructure and, just as an example, the letter and number streets. Continuing efforts to grow our net assessment through development of all types. You know, we're focusing on growing our net assessment. Fantastic news, for the first time in a long time, our net assessed value is up 13%. That's great work by everybody here. Bert Cook, thank you for all your work on the business side. It's phenomenal, and you've seen the announcements. We don't need to repeat them because you all have been directly involved to make growth in LaPorte happen. But we are still overcoming circuit breaker losses of close to 30%. And you heard Courtney, you heard Andrea talk about healthcare. You know, our goal in healthcare is to increase health of our employees while reducing the cost. It's not easy to do when you see the numbers, but healthcare has gone up and gone up. So we're fighting this battle from every aspect of reducing our costs wherever we can, but also the most important is growing our assessment for the future. And then the other 2024 goal was to explore the annexation opportunities in currently serviced areas. You have seen, and it's almost 4 years to the day when we met at the Health Foundation of LaPorte as a council and talked about our interest to annex and do the right thing. And as you look through the back and forth, the messaging back and forth, it always wasn't smiles and poo-foo dust or whatever that's called, pixie dust. We've had some tough times, and this was not easy. But thanks to people like Nick Otis that made it happen from a legal perspective, it was a lot of work. And I think residents are now excited to be a part of our city. They received their totes this past weekend and yesterday, and they'll get their first trash pickup as a part of the city annexation today. So we're excited to see that happen. Questions? I wanted to keep it brief, and I'll open it up to the public if anybody has questions, but be glad to answer anything from the board or from department heads.
Mayor, could you just, you know, I think in the community, there's often maybe some confusion when we look at like a structurally balanced budget and then a budget that's balanced across the different tax funds compared to what, you know, we're borrowing money, right, for projects or issuing bonds. So could you talk a little bit about like 5-10 years ago, and not to discredit anyone else, but like this has been a different approach and how we got to where we're at with these balanced budgets versus what would have been happening a few years back?
Well, and part of that, if you look, boy, it may have been 2006, so maybe a little further back when the county wasn't sending out tax bills. And, you know, that was a much different situation for all county resident or county local units of government. And to overcome that, which was unique by this county versus other counties until, in fact, just to be honest, the legislature had to step in and help solve that issue and put mandates on LaPorte County. But I think it's just a focus, and I don't want to speak for Courtney Parthune, but her high expectation approach that, hey, let's challenge our department heads, let's challenge our team to look at every line item, say where can we compromise, how can we improve cost while improving service, and everybody has stepped up. Now, this is all the property tax funds that we are structurally balanced. The other part of that we talked last evening about, you know, we receive water and sewer funds. We could have the lowest bills probably in the nation if we wanted and not do any water and sewer work. where we'll just have backups in everybody's home, in their community. We'll have sinkholes happen, which, you know, I thought sinkholes only happened in Florida. I was shocked when all of a sudden I'm getting calls early in this administration going, Mayor, we got a big hole out in front of the Civic Auditorium, I think we had one, or somewhere down the street. And I was like, are you kidding me? Based on the old infrastructure. So we've taken the approach that our residents deserve the best. We have water and sewer bills that people pay each month. Now, we could take those funds on a monthly basis and say, okay, we've got enough money in September, we're gonna do 4 feet of water and sewer infrastructure. And then in October, we'll do another 4 feet. And maybe over the next 50 years to 100 years, we'll actually have it improved and it'll be time to do it again. Or we're gonna use those funds to bond, and we've got a great team that has made that happen, so we can get all types of work done that our residents deserve. But you take on debt to that, to do that.
I can speak a little bit to this as well. We do have a great team. We have a great council that works together. We have a bulldog of a mayor that puts in the work and communicates with the community to tell the community and show the community how important some of these things are. The public safety lit was a fight, and it happened, which allowed us to alleviate $2 million from the general budget and push some expenses to the public safety lit. Just like the mayor said, the user rates in water and sewage before the mayor came into office hadn't been raised since what was it, Jerry?
16 or 17, yeah.
So that's, I mean, there's nothing being done. There's no work being done. The stormwater fee came into effect. I mean, this is revenue that we were severely missing, and without the whole team putting in the work to show the community how important these things are, it would have never happened. So now we're starting to see the benefits of what all this means. And that certified net assessed value, if we didn't have development in water and sewage, Burt Cook couldn't go out and sell LaPorte to any new developers. So it's a whole team approach. It's all working together, and we're starting to see the benefit of all of this.
Well, while the mayor stepped away, I guess I was going to just add that, I mean, truly, when you look at that net asset value increase, right, whether it's through some of the annexations or bringing in, you know, more homes, this all increases the tax base. And even when there's commercial opportunities that come in where there's some tax credits and so forth, they're going to pay off down the road, if not early, by employment or additional commerce, right? So all those things are going to help increase the tax base. So it's not just the net asset value necessarily increasing and kind of on the backs of homeowners or current business owners. It's expanding that amount to really then be able to do more with what we have. So I just appreciate all the work on that.
And I apologize for stepping away. I just had to say, thanks to Courtney Parthoon's words, but if Burt Cook didn't have water and sewer, that's an excuse. He better still go out and sell our community. I just wanted to make sure he knew that. And as you look at our water rates, our sewer rates, we're still below the state average. And we're going to continue to stay as competitive as possible. But also, it's amazing when you get the hard rains and you go to people's home throughout the community who are having issues, all of a sudden they're saying, when are you going to do the infrastructure improvements? We need them now. And the only way we can do that is through water and sewer increases, and the people now recognize that the money is not going to buy or to increase wages throughout. We're putting money back into the roads, the infrastructure, so that we have the best to handle when a Microsoft comes to LaPorte, when they could have chosen 50,000 other communities across this nation, and they've come here. We're ready to go. So this investment will pay off for many years to come, well beyond my administration, these department heads, and we're excited to see that happen.
I think I am so appreciative of the quality of life that is improved throughout the entire city from all that the department heads have done. Fire, police, streets, code. You guys have cracked down. I, as a resident and as a mom of 2 kids that are growing up in the city, greatly appreciate it. You saying that we are going to win the war on drugs is crucial. I think that we have to make that happen. We have to put our efforts and our resources towards that, because that leads to a better quality of life, and we owe the kids and the residents of LaPorte that opportunity. And so I really appreciate that we're going to go that direction and keep waging a war on that. It's really important to me with kids growing up and in the school system and hearing what goes on in the public schools.
And it wouldn't happen if Chief Buell wasn't on board, and he and I have had several discussions about this, and we know we need more support with officers. I want to see them, I want people to be afraid to come out of their homes if this is what their goal is from a drug use perspective. So he'll handle the pressure well, because it's coming, but the officers are as well, and the pressure really will be on those individuals that'll have to find alternative places to do their business, because they won't do it in the city of LaPorte, so. Thank you. Any other questions? Notice I didn't allow Chief Buell to say anything. Those department heads that do not have business before the board, go enjoy the day.
Do you want your red Solo cup back?
No, I drank it all.
Oh, okay.
New business, request to close utility office for training.
So with the welcome of the 39 North residents, we're asking for permission from the Board of Works to close the utility billing office from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's a stretch. It'll probably be more like 9 to 9:30 on September 19th, this Thursday, for training on the new 39 North utility billing credits. We want this credit transition, billing credit transition, on October 28th's billing for 9:15 to 10:15 service to be as smooth of a transition as possible, not only for our new residents, but also for State Board of Accounts purposes. So I just wanted to ask the Board of Works for permission to do that training. That will be held by Baker Tilly.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. We have Sally LaRocco from our Historic Preservation Commission, and no matter how this goes, I want to tell you, Sally has really led our HPC team to really focus and even grow the education and allowing our community to be proud of our historic values. So thank you for that great work.
So much, Mayor. So I'm Sally LaRocco. I'm the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, for those of you that don't know me. I'm also a resident of Indiana Avenue, and I love being in LaPorte. LaPorte has one of the finest inventories of historic structures in the state. Truly something for us to be very proud of. It adds to the charm of our community and is one of the most compelling reasons for people to want to move to LaPorte. So, one of my responsibilities as the chair of the HPC is to work on outreach with our community, to kind of increase knowledge that we exist, increase appreciation of our historic structures, and help protect them for the future. So we have to do 2 outreach events a year. They can be education, or they can be just fun. As many of you know, Michigan Avenue is a hotspot for trick-or-treating every year. We see, Courtney knows, we see anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 children between Osborne and Kingsbury. And so the HPC would like to sponsor closing Michigan Avenue for the 2 hours of trick-or-treating, for it to be safer for all the kids that are coming to that neighborhood. We've had several events from people not really paying attention, and as a resident of the avenues, I can tell you every year, someone from my family has almost been hit by someone that's not familiar with our neighborhood, and not paying attention. They're watching their kids, they're not watching other people's kids. So kids are already coming to the neighborhood, they're already gonna be there. We would just like to close down the cross streets and brand it for the city and keep kids safe while they're celebrating in our neighborhood.
Thank you for your passion and support for keeping the kids safe, which I think is all our goals. I think it's important to hear from both fire and police, so Kelly, aren't you glad you came to this meeting? Thoughts from your fire's perspective?
We have no problem with it. Think it's a good idea, actually. So I'm supportive of it.
Now, Chief Buell?
As Sally knows from our Traffic Commission meeting, I'm not so much in favor of this because it could create a lot of other issues from a law enforcement standpoint. And I appreciate what you're trying to do and the safety of the children. We all want our kids safe. But when you start barricading streets, it creates a problem because people will take down barricades, try to drive around, move trick or treat to 5 to 7. People are coming home from work, can't get to their homes, tempers flare, and I think it's a real issue. I think the parents and families have done a great job with watching their children while they're going up and down and trick or treating, and those vehicles, sometimes they follow them with vehicles or golf carts, will not be allowed in that area then. So now what do? Now they have to walk. They may have disabilities. It creates a lot of different situations. And what do you do with the other neighborhoods on Ohio Street on the east side or the west side or up north that they want their street blocked too because their children who are trick-or-treating in that area is just as important as everyone else. And I think it opens up some major issues. And we will be present as much as we possibly can, but if we get a high priority call, we would have to leave that area. And it's not that we're going to ignore it, but like I say, somebody else, somewhere else needs us, we're going to go. And I just think it causes a lot of confusion, and I think I'll leave it at that.
So, I mean, that's my biggest concern. I've seen it in our neighborhood, is kids are walking in the dark and cars are not paying attention. How do you cover that for the entire city?
So we're not trying to keep homeowners on Michigan Avenue out of their homes. Residents of the avenues, we love trick or treat. We love welcoming such a large group of people into our very special neighborhood. So we're not asking to keep residents out of their driveways. Closing down Michigan Avenue is very normal. They used to close down Michigan Avenue every Friday evening. The HPC is even willing to go door to door to make sure that we have face-to-face conversations or leave notes on all of our neighbors' doors so that they know that this is coming and they have the chance to have a phone number of someone that will help them. We're specifically trying to to be honest, keep the folks that are driving down the street, watching their kid on the side of the road, park your car and walk with them. And if you can't walk with them, go to a neighborhood that's more well-lit. Or you're not blocked by trees. That's kind of specifically, we're trying to keep people off the street, driving down the street that aren't watching where they're going. And it's a great opportunity for the city to kind of take ownership of an event that's already happening. There's already going to be kids on that road.
So we trick or treat down Michigan Ave because I live very close, and so it is a lot of fun and it is chaos, and there are a lot of people. I mean, I know Courtney, I don't even know what she does, but yeah, it is intense, and it is. I would love to see it closed for the safety of my kids, and because I think it would just be a more enjoyable experience because there is a lot of traffic. Golf carts and vehicles, both. The issue that I'm concerned about, really more than anything, is that if we do it for Michigan, somebody else is gonna come in and say, let's do it for Green Acres, let's do it for Fairfield, let's do it for, I mean, it's.
Division A.
I feel like we don't have a leg to stand on to say, well, we're only going to do it for Michigan. And then I think the resources of the city get spread very thin on a night when potentially kids are, getting into a little bit of the tricks and treats.
And I agree, I apologize, because Sally's done so much for our community, but I think we're opening Pandora's box. And I would say, if this is an issue, we sit down together for the future and say, how can we make Halloween trick or treat as safe as possible for everybody once Halloween's over? But I would make a motion to deny this request for Michigan Ave.
I would second it.
Mr. Kosher, thoughts?
Well, initially when looking at this, when it came through, I thought, well, it's different, right, from other neighborhoods, because we're talking about, the historic aspect of it. Although I have to say, like, to me, that doesn't kind of override the issue of, well, gosh, I mean, if it was any other, pick another, I forgot what day it lands on, but pick another, Thursday night, like, not unlike we do for Sunflower Fair, or for, we've done it for block parties, we close a block or maybe two, where, there's kind of a specific reason. There is a specific reason here, except that the reason is largely the same reason it could apply to any neighborhood, my neighborhood, so I think that's where I struggle with it, that, I would feel like if I lived in a different neighborhood, and I do, in fact, I would say, well, geez, why can't we close our street? In fact, I would kind of argue Michigan is probably one of the widest streets, potentially one of the safer streets because of its width, but that's kind of neither here nor there. That's the part I struggle with is, and again, it's kind of feels so odd because Halloween is such a sensitive issue with many people, right? Because our kids are involved and so forth. So, I don't like the idea, I think, because of that, even though I like the idea of anything we can do for the safety of kids on a night like this, but gosh, I just feel like we'll have every neighborhood coming next year to say, we want our streets closed too.
But I do like the idea of if it's something special to Michigan Ave, some point that's not on a citywide holiday evening or something, I'd be more than happy to do something like that. But this is a terrible vote to have to make. It's a terrible feeling, but the bigger picture is, I think we'll open up Pandora's box, and we have to sit down and look at how do we make Michigan Ave, but all our cities safe, do a better job during Halloween, because we're with you. We love our kids. We love our future. But with that, I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
In support of
Sorry, okay.
denying?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Sally. I hope you'll be open to this in the future. Nick Otis, Water Tower Purchase Agreement.
Yep, worked on this with Bert Cook. This is the purchase agreement, the land purchase agreement for the future water tower along in 39 North with the South Shore. So Bert has been, Bert step out?
I think he's,
Basically, this is a small parcel right along the Indiana Toll Road for a future water tower. They're going to donate the land to us. In exchange, we have to put up a water tower within 3 years. The water tower will prominently feature a logo of the city of LaPorte and also South Shore. So that will be clearly visible from the Indiana Toll Road.
so do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
Just a question, because we've got the two contracts that we got them
Yeah,
both here on
I
hard
think
copy.
the one copy was a red line and then the other one was a fine.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the red line is,
just an example of the changes that were made.
okay.
Yep.
Just making sure that,
Further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next.
Yes, we have two, you can take these together. These are sanitary sewer extension agreements. They're pretty common. I spoke, I think, with Jerry on both of those. These are part of the 39 North Asset Purchase Agreement, and they weren't specifically included, referenced in the purchase agreement, and 39 North brought that to our attention. So I wanted these to be approved by the Board of Works, to be incorporated in the asset purchase agreement. But essentially, they made an upfront investment, is that correct, Jerry? And then as new entities connect, they'll get a rebate or cash back, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty common, when someone wants to develop a property and they need to extend water.
Microphone.
Oh, thank you. They need to extend water or a sewer to their property, but in doing so, those facilities could serve other customers. So they sign an agreement that they'll build those facilities, but then if someone else hooks into them, they get a piece of their investment back. That's what these two are. We've done it with a number of different sites before, and it's common, and these were done before, this was part of 39 North, so it comes with 39 North when we take it over.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor, I do have one more item related to 39 North. And it is simply a resolution authorizing you to execute all necessary documents for the closing on Friday. I don't know that we'll need it, but sometimes Meridian Title, I realize this today, when we've attended closings, they want the minutes granting you the authority. So I just did a resolution, just real quick for the other board members. If we go to a closing, we need somebody there to sign on behalf of the city. In this case, it's going to be the mayor on Friday. And this just grants him the authority to sign all of the documents related to the closing of the 39 North Asset Purchase Agreement. So,
Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank
that's all
you.
I have. Thank you.
Mark Schreiber.
As everybody knows, we have just recently renovated the Civic Auditorium. A big part of that project was HVAC updates, which allow us to have more efficient heat during the winter, but also cool the building, the main auditorium in particular during the summertime. We did retain a certain amount of the radiated heat that goes off the boiler. That is primarily in the outer concourse and in the lobby. It basically allows the forced air system to be more efficient. With that, though, we did find, and we've been working with the engineer's office on this, that we do need a new condensate pump that basically, in a nutshell, allows the radiated system to recirculate properly and therefore not waste any water or chemicals. So I know it was, I believe, a meeting in August where we retained a certain amount of money out of the contract with Schneider, and that money was saved in the ARP funds, but we do still need to put that condensate receiver in, and I believe we've received quotes on it.
Motion to approve?
Are we approving?
Oh, I'm sorry, the bid you have, we'll open bid?
The quotes, yeah.
You can speak to it.
We received quotes. They're not publicly opened at the meeting, but previously we did receive them. And Arctic Engineering, DA Dodd, and Circle R. So the work by Circle R was the lowest in the amount of $44,100. So I would recommend going with Circle R.
Now a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So this condensation unit was not part of any of the overhaul of the HVAC system recently, right?
It was not placed into their scope, no.
Okay, so, okay. So we're replacing, this is an older unit that
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that has since failed.
Okay.
I see a different price on Circle R. Is that what you had said? I see 43.8.
Where do you see it?
Yeah, the one I have says 44,100.
So we got this, I believe we had this updated at some point.
This is April 18th, 2024.
We have one from November 6th, and we can share it. It's 44,100, so
From
the
November.
This
April,
is April of '24.
okay.
Let's take the lower one.
It's a
I was
little
gonna say
lower.
yes.
It's not a huge difference, but
But enough to use this bid.
Well, this is even better. 43,800.
save the money while I sit here.
That's right.
So the motion will be to take the April 24th bid for, let's just say the amount,
43.8, correct, Nick?
43.8, yes.
43,800, that will be the accepted price.
So
Do you have to amend?
I don't know if that, like, if you need to review that one just to make sure that
No,
we're
I
not
see
missing a
exactly,
piece?
no, I see what they were able to get different materials that
Oh,
were
okay.
lower cost. Same essential spec, but lower cost, different manufacturer, so.
Do we need to amend that, Mr. Otis?
No.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ann Richards, change order.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a change order for sidewalks, for the CDBG sidewalks. We had to remove 4 additional trees for safety and access to a sidewalk. And then our policy is to plant 2 trees for every tree that we remove. So we have 8 additional trees to be planted. All of the trees will be planted in October and November. So we're increasing the contract by $9,469 for a new contract sum of $616,910. I do have CDBG money available to cover that.
Make
And
a-
Reith Riley will be doing the planting.
They've contracted with Slussers to do the tree planting. So Slussers will be a subcontractor.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Discussion? And again, the type of trees will be
The,
considered, so we don't have in 50 years concrete.
yes, Phil Graff, who is under contract with the city, is the city's arborist, has gone out and looked at all the areas, has determined what's the best tree for that area, and has provided me with the list that I've given to Reith Riley, who is given to Slusser. And then Phil will go out and stake the locations with the species of tree so that the right tree gets planted in the right location.
So I do have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
One of the long-term discussions that can't be too long-term that has to be addressed is we have to look at a new police station. And it's becoming more and more into the near future. Obviously, we have to afford it, but you're going to see one of the reasons why this has been an ongoing issue. Chief Buell, emergency quote for HVAC unit.
Good morning. Yes, one of the 3 air handlers on the roof of the facility went out, and it would have been the largest one, of course. DA Dodd has worked on that unit and can no longer be repaired. So we're in an emergency situation where we would like to have that air handler removed, and I would recommend DA Dodd to perform that work.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
And so we've done what we needed to do, like with, I see other bids in.
Correct.
here.
What's going to
Quotes.
happen, and maybe Courtney can
Quotes,
address it, or would like to address that issue as far as paying for that unit.
I will say that we worked with Nick Otis on this. The board has to declare this an emergency, and that allows us to then be able to just take the two quotes. There was a quote from
H&G.
H&G and a quote from DA Dodd. DA Dodd is the low quoter. Chief Buell wrote a letter to the Board of Works showing that it is an emergency. And the funds, Tricia Metz and I have been working together. There's a transfer done at last night's council that was approved by council from salaries to repairs and maintenance that will cover the whole cost of the HVAC unit.
So may we amend the motion to make it an emergency?
Yeah, that you're finding that there's an emergency such that we need to act immediately, and under the statute, then we just need to request two quotes.
Which we've done.
Correct, yeah, we got one from H&G. We did it within you have to give them at least 7 days. We did that, so.
So may I have an amended motion?
Did I make the motion, or did Mark Courtney?
I believe you did.
I did. I'll amend the motion to everything Mr. Otis said.
So it has been amended to include the emergency. Do I have a amended second? Further discussion?
So just when that money transfers then from salaries, is that extra budget that's in?
There were two unfilled positions in the administrative area of the police department that have not been filled, so they're basically taking money from an unfilled position and using it
It's
where the need is.
civilian positions, not law enforcement, police officers.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Tucker King, the tree man.
Okay, so I have two separate items today. The first one was an emergency tree removal on G Street. I do believe it was 502 G Street. Can't remember. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. But due to the storms that we've had over the past few months, there was some damage that occurred to this tree where it started to crack and lean towards the home. There were multiple kids in the home, and we noticed the problem before it became a real issue, and we kind of had to take care of it. So you'll see there was two quotes. We took the lower of the two quotes from Foresters Tree Service, and they removed the tree on Friday. So I think we're just looking for a post hoc approval of that
A
emergency.
retroactive approval, same thing. It has to be declared an emergency. Two quotes were given. The tree, there should have been pictures sent out to all of you. The tree was cracked and
It had already, part of it had already failed and destroyed the neighbor's car the week before, and this other part was just about to go and hit the house. So we kind of had to get it done. And our tree, it was outside of the scope of our tree crew's ability to handle, so.
And again, the address was,
506G, 502G, one or the other. I think it was 506G.
500 block of G.
Yeah, there you go, 500 block of G Street, right before high school.
do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Emergency tree removal.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So is it, just to double check here, so that the forester, is that with the cleanup? Or without that?
It was without cleanup.
Without the cleanup, okay.
The street crew took care of the cleanup, yes.
Okay, that saves a couple $1,000,
Quite a bit
right?
of money.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just
Oh,
can
yes,
I
please,
ask
one more
quick
question.
So these trees were in the tree lawn then?
Yes, they were city
Okay.
trees, yes.
All right, so just making sure that.
Yeah,
All right.
and they were in our project area for the grant. I mean, the grant funds
Oh,
cover
okay.
these kind of damages. I mean, this tree would have been removed with the grant money that we're using from the Forest Service anyways. It was just because of the emergency nature, we had to do it outside of the normal project.
Okay.
And we have only 4,000 more trees to go.
I mean, we're not removing 4,000 trees.
Right.
That's for
But
sure.
I'm saying there's a list, I think, of, they
Yeah.
said last evening about 4,000.
950 for removal in the next few years, yeah.
But there's a number list of over 4,000 that people want us to look at.
Yeah, well, 5,573, I believe, so.
These are to look at?
No,
to
just,
evaluate?
I mean,
Oh, okay,
we've
gotcha.
surveyed
That's-
them, and those are the trees in our inventory
All
that
right,
we have
gotcha.
responsibility to maintain. Yeah.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Tree planting bids.
Yeah, so this next portion of it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so we put out a request for quote for the tree planting as a part of our U.S. Forest Service grant. We spoke earlier about investing in the future with our budget, and I think the trees are a huge part of the city of LaPorte, a huge part of our infrastructure. So we need to invest in planting them so that we can continue to have this for people long after we're all gone, hopefully. And then to that end, this is, initially we requested a quote for around $40,000 to plant 80 trees. 86 trees to be exact, is what this tree grant, or this planting program called for fall planting. We sent out 5 quotes, we received 3 back. All of them were above that 40,000. Again, this is coming from the Forest Service grant budget, so we have the money to take care of it. But, I mean, due to the difference in prices, I think Dogwood Hills has the best price. And on the back end, as you guys look through the packet, you can see Dogwood Hills also covers the most amount of trees as well. There were a few companies that, I think there was one other company that couldn't match the variety that we are now planting. I think we have 19 or 23 different species that we're calling for.
And
with-
because this is large enough of a difference, should we be concerned at the 48,000? Are we receiving the same service? Because that is in my mind, a larger amount. Difference.
The largest difference in price comes from the mobilization and planting of the trees. Dogwood Hills has covered a lot of our tree plantings in the past, and they do an amazing job with those tree plantings. So,
Tucker, how big are these trees that we're getting?
the average size caliper is 2.5 inch in diameter, which for a fall planting have the best chance of survival. Because we're asking for such a large variety, some of them are going to be smaller, but and some will be larger too. Yes, so it varies a little bit, but mostly 2.5 inch.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. So with these, when, talking about the caliper width of these trees, so
Yeah.
if they, like, I imagine, is this the case that they have an exact inventory of knowing like where we're at with these? Like they have these trees roughly in the range we're looking for?
Yes.
So
yeah.
we shouldn't expect to see differences either way in this?
There shouldn't be a huge variance, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Unfinished business, one of the areas as we talk about this, I know Nick Otis and Nick Minnick, we've had some discussion, the concern about the concrete provider for the fire training center. We've signed that agreement, correct? Or are we still reviewing it?
We haven't signed it, we just haven't executed it, but we're in the process of.
I would like, does that have to come back to the board?
No.
I would like to have further discussion before we sign it, to look into the concerns we've heard from a builder or two or more about the quality of work that was completed. And
Wait, was work done yet or not?
the work hasn't been done yet, so before we sign the agreement, I would like to have that discussion to make sure when Andy gets back, you have that discussion. And we make sure, because there was a notable savings, and I want to make sure the quality of work stands. So I want to have that discussion when Chief Snyder gets back. So if you'll make that point, Kelly, that'd be great. Other than that, do not forget, Friday is Evening on the Ave, and
Are we doing these?
I think we're holding the ticket appeals, correct?
So these are the three that were tabled from last meeting to get get Chief Beal's response, right?
Well, then, let's add this line item here of appeal summary. Do I need a motion to do this?
take a motion off the tape, if they were tabled, a motion to take them off the table.
Do I have a motion to take this appeal summary off the tape?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now, we'll bring up Annette Leffler about appeal summary.
So I had 3 tickets, and I sent them to Assistant Chief Dragmeister, who looked into each of them, and he sent me back a recommendation. He recommended that 2 of the tickets be voided because it wasn't clear on those blocks that there was no parking in the areas where the ticket was given. And then the 3rd ticket, he said there's visible signs on both sides, and that it's very clear that she can't park there, that the car can't be parked there, and he suggested that that ticket be left intact.
So the 2 that,
There wasn't enough signage, there was no signage.
There was no signage.
On the 2 that were voided, there are posts there, but there are no signs for some reason.
and this is 2379 and 2429?
Yes.
So do I have a motion to approve the removal of the fine on item 2379 and item 2429?
So moved.
23792429. Second.
I have a motion and a second discussion. We'll make sure Street Department has this information to
Sure
get
will.
the signs up. And,
And as I was looking through, it was confusing to me because there's 2 appeals by the same person, and I thought both of the appeals were the ones he was requested that should be voided, but it's only one from one person, one from another person, and the second appeal by the first person stands. Is that confusing? I'm sorry.
Pending the vote, they'll have a 50% success rate.
Yeah.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now, do I have a motion to deny 2411?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we'll see you this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Mr. Bachelor, will you be there? On both nights? Both night and day? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.